All right, time once again for another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mac podcast here on 1010XL's podcast platform at 1010XL.com. Of course, on Facebook, on 1010XL's Facebook, hey, Facebook, and streaming live on the relevant app. That's right, the group messaging app with live interactive podcasts all throughout. Very easy, but very effective to use. Check it out, RELEVNT. And you can catch the app on the App Store or on Google Play. All right, big news yesterday. Baker Mayfield being traded to the Carolina Panthers. I think that was yesterday. Maybe it was Wednesday. It was. I know this. It was after we did a Tuesday deal. But nonetheless, Baker Mayfield goes to the Carolina Panthers for a conditional 4th or 5th round pick. So, look, Sam Darnold's there. I asked Sean Salisbury on my one of the podcasts that we do here on the NFL Fanatics channel on Relevant. What's the problem with Sam Darnold? And he's like, you know what, Tom? People still think he has star-like capabilities physically. Guy's incredible. Arm, athlete, big, strong, all of it. But they don't trust him. He'll make a wild throw, and then he'll make a throw like, what in the hell are you doing? And it's too many years of that to where now it's hard to trust him. Now, go look at Baker Mayfield if you're the Panthers. I mean, how much you trust that guy? I mean, his rookie year was awesome. 27 touchdowns, set the rookie record. Next year wasn't awesome. Third year was pretty darn good, came back really strong. Last year wasn't that good. Battled some injuries. Of course, non-throwing shoulder injury, but still battled that. To me, Baker's not clutch. I think you got to be clutch. You have to have a quarterback that's clutch. You can't have a quarterback that's iffy. Sometimes they'll look good. Sometimes they won't look good. It's not consistent. They don't come through. Like a franchise quarterback has to have comebacks, has to have clutch, has to have that last drive to set up a score or score a touchdown, whatever. You have to have those in your portfolio, if you will. You look around the league, I mean, how many guys do you really trust like that? Right? Of course, the big names and all that, but who do you really have? Or who wouldn't you trust? Maybe is a better question, right? Do you trust Kyler Murray? Graham Marsh, good morning to you. How you doing, buddy?
Hello,
good
sir.
afternoon.
How are you?
My esteemed producer. Kyler Murray, I don't trust him. Baker Mayfield, don't trust him at all. Look, Jameis Winston had a great year going last year before he got hurt. They were 5-2, 13 touchdowns, 4 picks. He was off and running. But do you really trust Jameis? I don't trust Jameis. I don't trust Tua. I mean, there's a lot of guys that you'd sit there and you'd be like, Daniel Jones, what? No, not even close. But now they're the guys. So do I trust Trevor? Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know if you can say after 1 year if that's fair or not, right? Like Justin Fields, I don't know. Trevor, I don't know. If he finishes the way he ended, or if he plays the way he finished last year, yeah, I would trust him a ton. So it's incomplete for those first year. Mac Jones, I may trust him a little bit more, but now with Josh McDaniels gone, who knows, right? We'll see what McDaniels does with Carr. Do you trust Derek Carr? Seriously?
Yes.
Totally.
Derek Carr can play, dude.
I think he's a great quarterback, but what I mean by trust, clutch, come from behind, making the plays consistently. Do you trust him? I do not, 100%. 50 maybe, as opposed to, dummy, I'm trying to stick in the AFC West. Mahomes. Do you trust Mahomes? Of course you trust Mahomes. Do you trust Herbert? I would trust Herbert. 2 years back to back, he beat the game plan. Second year, he's phenomenal. They've helped him a ton. Don't get me wrong, but he's really good. And then Russell Wilson. You trust Russell? I do. I would say yes to that. Right? Compared to Carr, I think that's fair. I like Carr. I'd like him as my quarterback if I needed a QB. And are there other better than him? Yeah, of course. But he's a really good quarterback. I like Derek Carr. But he's not clutch. Not to me, he's not. You know, you think of like, I don't know, Matthew Stafford. Is Matthew clutch?
Yes,
I can count on Matthew. I'd count on Matt Stafford. I would. I wouldn't count on Kyler Murray. I'm trying to keep it in that division as well. Who else is that? Seattle. You know, maybe Geno Hayes has a, you know, maybe he just. Geno Smith. Sorry, Geno Hayes. Geno Smith. Maybe. I hope he does. It'd be great. I don't think Drew Lock's the answer. But I don't know.
I think
that's a tough one.
I think a different way to put the same exact thing you're asking is, are you consistent? Because
consistently clutch,
right?
Because clutch is a word we don't use a ton, right? You gotta have your superstar QB, your superstar shooter, your superstar guy at the plate. They got to be clutch. The pitcher, the closer, it's got to be clutch,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like that consistently. Tom Brady. He gets the ball. There's 30 seconds left. Do you think he's got a chance? You know he does.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's clutch performance.
And going along with the clutch thing and the consistency thing, probably the biggest reason I trust Tom Brady is because I know that 5-yard route, that 3-yard route, that 7-yard route, he's
going to make plays.
Right.
Without a doubt.
It's awesome.
Think about, go ahead.
It's awesome to have a guy that can, Kyler Murray. It's awesome to have a guy that can make 100 people miss and throw that Hail Mary to DeAndre Hopkins 2 years ago. It's awesome to have a guy that can do that. But what's even more awesome, just less sexy, is the guy that does not miss the gimme throws.
Yeah.
You can in the NFL, you cannot miss.
Just like I was saying about Sam Darnold. He'll make throws at Y and then he'll make throws. You're like, what? That's
what
so
in the world
easy.
is that?
Like, what are you doing?
And in my opinion, that is the number one spot Trevor Lawrence needs to improve in year 2.
Oh, yeah.
He made some, oh my God, throws last year.
He did.
And that's awesome.
Yep.
And that shows me that there is a ceiling there.
There's a glimpse. They showed you a glimpse.
Right. It shows me that
I agree with that.
That somewhere in there could be a Patrick Mahomes, there could be a Josh Allen, there could be a Tom Brady. But to get to those guys, you want to see those crazy plays, but when you're throwing a 3-yard pass to the running back for him to potentially get upfield and get 15, you need to hit him in the numbers.
Well, or hit him where he's supposed to.
Correct.
He runs a slant over the middle, and he's got his guy in his back hip. You better lead him.
Right.
Don't make him reach back. That's not what you need. You need it out in front so he can continue on. You know, you're running a deep out. You got to put it outside. You can't put it inside. You know what I'm saying? Those kind. Like, look. You could look at Carson Wentz. Look at his stats. They're phenomenal. Is he clutch? No.
Absolutely
not.
He's
not clutch.
All over the place.
Would I trust him at the end of the game? No. Matt Ryan to Indy. I trust him a lot more than I trust Wentz, but am I totally sold that Matt's going to get it done? No, not 100%. Maybe about 75%. I think that's fair. Tannehill? No.
Not at all.
No, Davis Mills, you can't count. He's too young, right? I don't know. Even Jalen Hurts, he's been around maybe it's too early for him. He's 2 years now. I don't know if I trust him yet. He's got to earn that trust. And that is so key to the success of a franchise. You know, having that clutch, and not just a QBS. You got to make a clutch catch once in a while. You got to make a clutch run, a clutch block, a clutch tackle, clutch sack.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about that. But your QB has got to be consistently clutch when it's 3rd and 5. And it's late in the game. I don't care if it's your last drive or not. Maybe it's third quarter. Maybe it's a drive that could totally change momentum in the game, right? Maybe you've been down, but this is the drive that's going to get you over, get you moving forward. You need the first down. You got to put the ball in the right spot. You got to know where to go with the ball. They're blitzing you. Where's my hot route? It's on the money. I might get hit right in the face. It doesn't matter because it's right on the money, and we got the first down, and we're going down for a score. You know, those kinds of plays. And you're right. Trevor's shown glimpses of those, without question. But he needs to be a lot more consistent to be that next level. Look, we want him as like Herbert, right? They should be kind of the same. Josh Allen, a little bit further ahead, right? You count on that kid. Right?
Absolutely.
Young man, Josh Allen, take him all day long.
And that's where Josh Allen had a huge growth. For him, it was really year 2 to year 3, but still, he had a huge growth
From 1 to 2.
And 1 and 2 as well.
Because he went 20-8 in year 2, which was a big jump for him. He worked on his accuracy and his timing and everything big time.
Because he was making those wow plays rookie year. But the biggest difference in his growth was if he throws 10 slants now, they all look the same.
Right.
All 10 look the same.
Right.
And they're right on the
digs.
Correct.
Everything. Yep.
Trevor's not there yet.
No, I agree.
And he needs to be there.
Yep.
And to your earlier point about, like, obviously other guys got to make plays.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing is if those guys aren't making plays, you're not going to win a Super Bowl or anything, but you can win games if all of those things are not necessarily happening, but your quarterback is making those plays.
Yeah.
I don't think the reverse is true.
No, I agree. You got a great sack specialist who's going to get you that sack when you need, but if you don't have the QB to finish the deal,
doesn't matter.
Then it's not going to matter.
Right.
So that to me is a must-have when you're talking, Aaron Rodgers clutch all day long. Jared Goff, no, not at all. You don't trust him every time, right? Who's Minnesota's quarterback? Kirk Cousins,
yeah.
No. I mean, he's really solid. He's not really flashy, but
But you talk about clutch,
not a
absolutely
big game.
not.
No, not a big game.
It's been a thing that Kirk Cousins always loses on Monday Night Football.
That's right.
That's he won one like 2 years ago and like broke the streak, but like it was like a thing in his career. He had
How about
lost
Jimmy G? He's kind of a silent clutch, not total clutch, but like silently he gets the job done, and you can trust Jimmy G.
I think Jimmy G might be the most underrated quarterback in the NFL.
He could be.
I mean, the guy, every time he plays, the 49ers are really good and go deep in the playoffs.
Yep.
But like for some reason, there's this theory that you can't win with him. But when all they do is win with him.
Yeah, he's been to championships, Super Bowls. I know.
What other quarterback...
Yep.
What other quarterback in 3 years of being there can take you to a Super Bowl and take you to an NFC Championship game?
Right.
And you say he's not the guy.
Right.
But
that's what you're talking about. That's exactly what you're talking about. Not flashy.
Right.
Just solid and consistent.
Right.
And wouldn't we take that over the flash without consistency?
Absolutely.
Right?
It's not as sexy, but it wins games.
That's all that matters at the end.
Literally all that matters.
When I looked at Jameis's stats, because it's on the news now, right? Before his injury, he was 5-2, 1-loss record. That stood out. Now, the 14-3 TD to interception was big, too. Or 13-4, I can't remember. I might be a little dyslexic on that. But the former, that's what the record was like. That looks good. You know what I mean? Obviously.
Right.
That's, at the end of the day, all that matters. Do I want my QB to be one of the top 10 QBs, 5 QBs in the league? I don't know. Yeah, I guess, but do I want my QB to be consistent, help me win championships? You know the answer to that. Well, stats to me are only a certain. They only tell a certain story. You could look at stats. You could look at Gardner Minshew's stats and be like, why isn't that guy starting? Why isn't he starting? Look at his record. Why isn't Carson Wentz talked about in more favor? Look at his stats. Great stats. But when you watch on the field, and look, for Gardner, you haven't seen a total amount of him to make a definitive answer one way or the other. I mean, right now you don't trust him. Obviously, he's not clutch, right? I understand it. I'm just saying, if he was a full-time starter, would he eventually be, the quarterback that you can count on? I don't know. I don't think the sample's big enough yet, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think Gardner...
I mean, what do you have, 1 year starting, basically? Yeah.
Well, so really a year and a half, because 2019 he started more than half the game.
That's true.
With Foles being hurt.
That's
But he wasn't...
More than half, the whole year, basically.
They didn't go into the season with him being the guy. He really got one season to...
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
To go into the offseason, go through OTAs, go through training camp where he is the starter.
Yep.
And I think with Gardner actually is relatively consistent. I think he's limited physically.
I don't think... I mean, look, I hate saying this because I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that said, Tom McManus isn't capable of starting.
Right.
Right? And I'd be like, whatever.
Up yours,
whatever. I'll start whatever I feel I can. And I'm sure he feels that way too. But I agree with you. He may be, it's like Chad Pennington. Chad Pennington was consistent. Would I choose Chad Pennington over most? No, I wouldn't. Why? Because he was a little bit limited. He was really good on he was very accurate, and he was very good on anticipation. Like, his arm wasn't. I think you got to have a big arm in this league. That's number one for me. You got to have the cannon.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now, you got to hone in the cannon. It can't be a wild cannon, right? It's got to be, be taken care of. Which brings me back to Josh Allen of the Bills. Think about this. Through 17 picks his senior year at Wyoming. 17. Talk about upside. Talk about saying, you know what? I know he was inaccurate. I know he's all over the place, but you know what? We like this kid. We think he's going to turn it right. That was a big risk.
The Bills got absolutely clowned for drafting him.
Oh, no doubt.
They got clowned
No doubt they did. And after his first year, it was almost like, oh, no. But year 2, he made a big improvement. He did. He went 20 touchdowns, 8 picks. The next year was monster. And then he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league.
That's why guys like him will always be drafted high, and guys like Gardner Minshew will always be drafted
because
late.
Of the arm.
Because
physical.
If you've got a huge, big arm and you can sling it all over the yard, and you're fast and you're big and you're strong, I can coach consistency. Right, you could
try
to an extent.
You could try.
Correct.
That doesn't always work out. But yes.
But there's at least a chance I can coach that.
Yeah.
What I can't coach having a bazooka like Josh Allen.
It's like Freddie T running a 4.28. You can't coach that. You can't.
If you're a 4.6 guy, you're never going to be as fast as Freddie T.
Never.
Ever.
No.
It doesn't matter what training you do.
Try being a 4.8 guy trying to keep up with Fred T.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
There's only one rep of practice.
You can be at ideal weight, ideal training, ideal shape. Doesn't matter. You're never going to be as fast as that.
No, you're right.
Ever.
And I think the arm strength is equivalent to a 40 time for different positions. Correct. You run a 4.9 as a backer, and you're 6'2", 250, whatever, and you're a productive player. But guess what? I got another 6'2", 250 guy that runs a 4.5. And I need him because he can run all over the place. And, yeah, you may be an okay player, but you're not that sexy. You know what I mean? And even if you play consistent, you might get me a couple plays here and there and against the run if it's inside the tackles and I need to be really physical and all that. But my 4.5 guy, he don't come off the field. Exactly. If he can play, he's got to be able to play. You know what I'm saying? So you could have the same production without different without different skill sets.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's equivalent to that, right? Do I want my backer that can run a 4.5 that's 245 and good instincts and can cover, can blitz, can hit and hammer the run? Hell yeah. Would I take him over a 4.9 guy if they were even in production? Yes, I would.
And
because 4.9 is tough in the NFL.
To keep it on the defensive side, look at corners now.
Yeah.
The average height of corners now is probably 3 to 4 inches taller than it was 10, 15 years ago.
They used to be 5'9", 5'10" at the most. Now they're 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2".
Right, because really the Legion of Boom is what changed that. Richard Sherman was kind of the first guy that Richard Sherman was I'm younger, but from what I can remember, was the first big, tall, physical corner that will bully you. That was rare. Normally it was those physical guys were going to beef up and play linebacker, or they were going to play safety.
Yeah.
A guy that is that physically gifted with those types of coverage skills.
Mel Blount was like that, but they used to be able to maul guys back in the 70s. He was a big, tall guy.
But it used to be if you got a 6'3" receiver and a corner is 5'10" guarding him.
Right. And flip it around too, right? You've got a 6'3" DB trying to cover a 5'9" slot receiver. It's very challenging to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to be as quick, and your movements aren't going to, lower to the ground, the better you should be in that quickness department.
The Wes Welkers of the world.
Yeah, you don't have to move so much. You don't have that much body to move. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think, look, you go back to being a clutch player. You got enough clutch players on your team, you'll win games. There's no doubt about that. But your quarterback's got to be clutch. And you know what, Trevor? I'm looking forward to seeing Trevor. I'm I don't get into practice a lot with QBs. I don't, because they don't get hit. And I don't care if there's a rush around them. That's why I find it silly when I see reporters, Trevor was, 11 for 14 with 2 touchdowns. And I'm like, nobody's hitting him.
Right.
It doesn't,
right.
I mean, he's got to make throws in practice, of course, and put it in the right spot and all that. And he's a tough guy. Trevor, that's one thing you can't say about Trevor, that he's not tough, because he is very tough.
And he's mobile enough to be able to bail himself out of a lot of trouble.
He is.
Which helps.
He is, yeah.
I think if he didn't have his legs, he'd have gotten hurt last year.
Yeah.
His mobility kept him
Saved
healthy.
him.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Wouldn't it be great if he could just a nice little trajectory like Josh Allen? You kind of Josh is much bigger, like thicker. He is big. He looks like a defense. They did some golf thing, the quarterbacks, and he was on
the match.
Yeah, was that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
He
With
looked
Mahomes
like a
and
defensive
Allen versus,
end.
Yeah.
It's like, holy cow. And Mahomes, I saw Mahomes in Atlanta at the Super Bowl. I didn't know he's not a big guy, but 6'3", I mean, just looked really like, wow, big kind of dude.
Well, do you remember during that Bills-Chiefs playoff game?
Yeah.
One of the best football games I've ever watched.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It was maybe the third quarter. I don't remember when, but Josh Allen took off.
Yep.
Pocket collapse, went straight up the middle, took off, got 10 or 15 yards. There was a linebacker sitting there, ran him right over.
Yeah. You don't want that too many times.
No, you don't. But
as you dislocate that shoulder.
Correct. You're right.
You're in trouble. And no matter how big
clutch,
you are, everyone's susceptible to getting hurt. I don't care how big you are.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Guy hits in the right spot. You could get, I'm doing that. But he is that kind of player. I'd like to see Trevor move a little bit more. That'd be more natural for him. I wouldn't do set plays for him. I wouldn't do the RPO.
The RPO, yeah.
I don't know. I maybe on occasion do it, but I would like to see him on the move a little bit more.
I just think RPOs are, there's nothing wrong with them, but I think unless you are a Lamar Jackson type athlete, it has a shelf life.
I agree.
It's a very situational thing.
They're going to get you.
Right.
I don't care look, I said this before. When the Baltimore Ravens caught Mike Vick in year 2, I remember they broke his leg. It was like in the preseason or early in the regular season. It was year 2. I was like, wow. Because you remember Mike Vick coming out of V-Tech.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it was like, what? He ran like a 4.1. He was unbelievable. His arm was unbelievable. He had, and I think he ended up being a really good player, but his physical traits was something the NFL had never seen before.
Ever.
And you didn't think anybody was going to catch his ass. Well, they caught him. And they broke his leg. I was like, I remember after that play, I was on the radio still. I was like, if they can catch Mike Vick, they can catch anybody.
Right.
I don't care. Right. So that's what you're right. Lamar Jackson's special. They can still get to him, but he is with running that ball. I don't want Trevor, and I don't think Trevor has enough shake for that.
No, he does not.
You got to have some
Definitely
shake.
not.
You got to be able to.
You got to have
in quick confined spaces.
You got to have slot receiver shake.
Totally.
And you got to have track speed.
Yep.
And Trevor's a good athlete, but he didn't have that.
No, he doesn't.
For me,
I don't need him to be that.
Obviously the consistency in the arm is number 1 for me for what my wish list for Trevor. Number 2 is putting on 30 pounds.
Yeah.
I want him to beef up.
I wonder if he's trying to gain weight. He's got a slim, like his shoulders aren't, broad.
Right.
Like Allen's broad. He's not broad. He's kind of little compact, more compact. He's a big guy. I saw him in Publix, I don't know, a few months ago. He's big. I mean,
he's just skinny, man.
Yeah, he is, but he's still a big dude. It's not like he's...
No, he's not. He's not Kyler Murray.
No. But I mean, aside from being tall, he's still put together good. He's just not thick. Yeah. You might want him a little... This is what I want out of Trevor in year 2. The deep throw. That has got to be clutch. You got to put it in the right spot. You got to throw it at the right time. Your guy can't be waiting on it. And I also want him and the receivers. Look, it's easier said than done. But the great, QB receiver combos have this. If I'm on the outside and I got that DB on my back hip, or maybe we're not even, but I got him just by a hair, throw it. Throw it and throw it past us both on the outside and let me have the only opportunity to make that grab. But you got to throw it on time, and it can't be hanging up in the air, and I can't be waiting on it. Secondly, if the guy's even, you're throwing it to that back shoulder. You see it. I see it. You know,
Aaron Rodgers.
That's what the great ones do.
Aaron Rodgers is probably the best ever at back shoulders.
Oh, without a doubt.
Ridiculous.
And Devontae Adams, one of the best ever at grabbing them, right? No doubt about it. You have to develop that chemistry, though. And that's trust. That's that receiver and QB knowing it. He knows, I know, we're on the same page. I'm going to put in the right spot. He's going to make the catch, and we're going to move on to the next play. But those deep throws, too many times, they were off target or the receiver had to wait on them, and you can't have that. And that doesn't mean he doesn't have the arm. It could mean he's not throwing it on time. There's a difference. You can have a monster arm. You throw it too late, they may have to wait. You know what I mean? They may have to wait on it. You throw it in at the right time, now they're just running underneath it. Here comes the ball, and I'm running right underneath it.
As you're talking about this, where you have him by a hair, you know what play is running through my head? Brunell to Jimmy in Denver.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's the textbook definition of what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, and once that guy pressed, they were going to throw that, that fade. But where did Mark put it?
Right on the, like...
But in front where he had to go get it. It wasn't like here, Jimmy had to reach out for it like that. It was a perfect throw.
Perfect.
But that's what you're talking about. And that's a clutch throw. And that wasn't a long throw. That was like a 20-yard throw. But it was, man, just a
But the same idea as I got a hair on you.
Yep, I'm going.
That quarterback needs to throw it to where it's not too far so the receiver can still go get it, but it's too far for the DB.
I'm okay. You know, it's funny. So think Gunslinger, right? Favre. He's probably the number one gunslinger we've ever seen, right?
Right.
It was 2-1 touchdown interception. But the one thing about Favre, he was never afraid to take that shot. Never afraid. And maybe the receiver didn't even have a chance, but he still threw it anyway. If you complete the ones and you got 2-1, you can do that. I don't think Trevor's there yet. I don't want him to be a gunslinger yet. But eventually I want that in his mentality that I am a gunslinger. Guess who else thinks they're gunslingers? Mahomes, Allen,
Herbert.
Right? Herbert, they're what does that mean? I'm taking the shot. I got a big arm. Trevor's got an arm. I don't know how big it is, but it's big enough. He's got an arm. He's got to take the shot.
That makes your short stuff so much easier too.
Oh, totally. Well, the safety's scared.
Terrified.
Nobody wants to get beat deep in the secondary. Nobody. You don't want to be called toast. Terrible nickname to have.
All of a sudden, your 5 and 10-yard routes are going to become gimmies a lot more.
Right, because they're afraid to get...
So much less crowded.
Well, go back to Jimmy. One thing, and all the great receivers do it, they run guys off before they make their cut. They make them think they're going deep. And that's like in the first 4 or 5 strides, 6 strides. They're thinking, oh, gosh, he's going deep. And then, whap, he throws the foot down, and by they go. It's like Tom Cruise in Top Gun. I'm going to put the brakes on, and it's going to fly right by. It's like that, though. And there is no gathering of the feet on when Jimmy would cut. The best ones do it like that. There's no, then cut. It's just full speed, cut, boom, or boom, stop and come back. But you got to make them think you're going deep. Because once they turn those hips to run with you, that's when you make the cut. And Jimmy was just so phenomenal at it, without question. And a lot of the great ones do that. So will that be Kirk? Will that be Marvin Jones? Will it be Zay Jones? Hopefully. And hopefully Trevor delivers. Because if he becomes a clutch QB, we're going to win a lot of ball games here in Jacksonville. And I think Doug Peterson Co. will get it out of him. All right, that's going to do it for me this time around. Right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mac podcast on 1010XL's podcast platform, on Facebook, and, of course, streaming live on the relevant app, the live messaging app, with live interactive podcasts throughout. A ton of content. Just go download the free app, RELEVNT App Store or Google Play. and go search for, just go to our Live Now channel. You'll see all the great content that is happening live right now. Until next time, stay safe, be cool out there, and we'll catch up with you next time right here. Catch It Up with Tommy Mack.